that lovely introduction. And those of you who've met me before, there's a few of you on the call. Hello to those I have met, and to all the new people. It's great to have the opportunity to meet you today and to give you a little bit of background around the Goal Tracker tool and talk about the importance of goal setting in regards to your coach and coachee relationships. What I've always said to Anna, I've learnt just as much, if not more, from being involved as a board member and mentor to Anna because of the reverse mentoring that takes place. And I've learnt so much watching her journey in building Bambuddha as well. So it's been a great learning curve for me on that coaching journey. Just before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Gay Margal people of the Eora Nation. I'm coming from Sydney's Northern Beaches, and I couldn't be more blessed to live on these lands, which always was and always will be the lands of the Gay Margal people. And thank God I've had these beaches and water and bush to walk in the current lockdown situation. We also at Non-Profit Alliance, we always like to acknowledge also that the lands that we work and operate on have always been lands where there's been trust and inspiration and collaboration and all the things that we stand for. So we acknowledge that as well, not just the lands themselves, and pay our respect to elders past, present and emerging, and any Indigenous brothers and sisters who might be on the call today. So my job today is twofold. One part of it is to introduce Goal Tracker to you and actually let you experience the platform briefly. But probably that's less important than something I'll be doing around talking about the importance of goal setting. And the reason I say that is because the tool itself, we have got a session planned for anybody who needs to actually learn how to use it. It's very simple, very intuitive, but we will run a separate one where you can sit in and it'll probably take you half an hour, not even an hour, to be quite proficient in how to use the Goal Tracker tool. But I will give you a little taste of that today, but don't be too concerned if you're not taking everything in and on the spot. So why is goal setting so critical to success for you in that coach and coachee relationship? I just wanted to start by acknowledging we're all coming to the table today in really quite difficult circumstances for many of us, particularly those we'd like to acknowledge who've been in lockdown. Some of us in Melbourne, it's 5th and 6th times. Here in Sydney, we're in week, 7 or 8, we've lost count. Highlight of our day listening to Gladys or doing the Gladys exercise routine that's now being developed for her key phrases and what exercise you should do when you hear them. But all that aside, we're all coming with a certain feeling and where we're at. And I know this week when I've been talking to people, I certainly hit that Groundhog Day on Monday, but it really turned into a bit of a Groundhog Week for me. And I hadn't done that yet. And obviously it was my time to sort of wonder where my motivation was coming from. I just sort of hit that really flat spot. So I just would love everyone to use the chat right now and acknowledge how you're feeling. Give me some words. What's it like for you? And I've lost my chat. Why have I lost the chat off the screen? Hang on just a minute. Can someone help me here? Chat's disappeared.
You might have to move your cursor around and click somewhere else.
No, I've got the menus. It's usually in the More menu. Okay, or I might just
down the bottom.
Yeah, it's not coming up. The bottom screen, the bottom taskbar isn't coming up.
Maybe we can read some out to you.
Beautiful. Can you read some of the words?
Sure. So we've got lovely to share, Carmel. I've too been feeling flat this week from Joe. We've got being good until this week went like you. Motivation took a bit of a dive. Feeling good, grateful to be surrounded by nature and for sanity. Mixed bag of emotions from Pamela, tired, excited, grateful. Nicole, happy to be here today, though have been more tired than usual, a little flat. Mazza, up and down, and then up again, and then down, and then the roller coaster. Thanks, Mazza. Louise, but super inspired this morning. Last night, really grateful. This morning, tired and now engaged. Extremely glad to live in Australia rather than some other places in the world. Nicole Treasure's feeling hopeful and optimistic. Very Nicole Treasure of you. Cara, great timing, starting a new job Monday, so this feels like a top way to prep. And Tom's feeling anxious, a little bit tired, but hopeful.
Excellent. Thanks, Anna. And I think, all really very, very relevant feelings for us at the moment. But One thing you're probably all noticing is everyone's, I think the well-being conversation is becoming far more acceptable. So when we were hearing those words there, you were hearing a lot of tired and, you know, worn out and mix of emotions coming into the conversation. And the good part that I think has come out of COVID is that we're accepting that it's okay to actually speak that language, to understand that well-being has become a real critical part of us surviving some of what we've had to go through. And I think, you know, those words, we often too sometimes default to the good ones when we're asked those sorts of questions, when really the good one mightn't be the overwhelming feeling that we're having. So it's good that those other words are able to come into the conversation. So thanks for sharing those. In terms of what the world is like at the moment, there's no doubt that the recent times we've been facing incredible stuff, you know, financial stress, the stock market, the real estate, the coronavirus, the bushfires, the floods, the impact on our families and teams and everything else that we're taking in. And then the impact that's having on us as leaders. We shouldn't be underestimating the fact that, as someone said, as coaches, we need that peer support group. You need sessions like this because who's looking after the leader? And you need looking after as well as coaches in this environment to make sure that you're the best version of yourself stepping forward too into the relationship. So the impact that's had on us all, there's no doubt we've all had the brain explosion, like there's so much going on, it's just too much. And apologies for a couple of people who've seen these screens, but they say it all. Then we've got this one, you know, like just the brain overload. So you get to the point where you think, I just can't take any more in. I just can't take any more bad news on the television. I can't take any more jobs on because I can't think straight. Then we've got these ones. I just want to crawl up and into the fetal position and lie on my bed because it's easier than facing everything I'm facing right now. And we're going up and down on these even on a daily basis. And so are our coachees who are coming into the relationship with us, which is really important to think about. And even when we think we've got those things under control, stress. When you've got more work than you can cope with, when you've got the kids home as well as trying to be present in the moment for them and homeschooling and being there for your work people as well, when you've got your staff bringing mental health issues to the table, where you've got all of these distractions and things happening around you, you know, how do we cope with all of that stress too? And the amount of pressure we've all been under is actually unsustainable. And you might say, well, what's this got to do with goal setting? And I think from that point of view, goal setting is an incredible tool to help and actually provide focus in these circumstances. So where we're all at the moment, instead of prioritizing schedules, which is what we're doing, instead of prioritizing our schedule, what we should be doing is scheduling our priorities. I went to say that the wrong way around. So we're on this kind of hamster wheel, and every day we wake up and there are certain important things that are hanging over our head that we've got to do. And how often do we find ourselves ending up in that other space where instead of the important things that we had to do, we end up attending to the emails and all the schedule and everything else that's floating through the door and taking our attention. So setting goals can help provide that support and direction we all need in an uncertain world. So why are they important to your coachees? They're important because they provide focus and push them forward. They help to define success for them, which we can sometimes lose sight of. They hold them accountable. Goals inform action, so we get a clearer picture of what we need to do. Goals set priorities. Goals create meaning. They can help lift morale. Tracking progress is very important on your goals. We need a measurement stick and something to actually gauge how we're doing. And we need to recognize and celebrate progress. And the goal tracker tool actually allows many of these things to happen. And when I asked you how you were feeling before, I just want you to take this exercise with me. And if you've got a piece of paper there, I want you to write down your answers to what I'm going to ask you. So we're talking about emotions, and they'll always affect how we feel, how we think, and therefore how we behave and how we function and perform. So think about you at your best. So let's all go to our happy place right now. Forget COVID for a minute. What's that happy place for you? You know, is it out on a bushwalk? Is it with family? Is it barbecue with friends? Go to a happy place. And I want you to look at this what's called an emotion circle, and some of you, or emotion wheel, which some of you may know or be familiar with. And because we're in our happy place, we're going to be in the yellow zone, right? So happy is kind of a general word, but I really need to understand, or you need to understand, why are you happy? What is that happy place for you? So I want you to look at the next layer, which for some reason is not coming. There we go. So in the next layer, just in the yellow, stay in the yellow zone. And if you had to sort of define your happy, you've now got about 8 choices. Or is that 10? I can't count. 10 choices. You've got several choices there that you can choose from for what your happy place does to you. Is it because you feel powerful in that space? Is it because you're proud? Is it because you're content or playful? And you had in your head something, whether it was the family together, or whether it was the bushwalk, or whether it was the friends at the barbecue. What was it? Define your happy emotion. And then I want you to go one step further, staying where you were. If yours was content, you're now going to be asked to say, was it content because I felt free or I felt joyful? Was it powerful because I felt courageous or creative? Was it optimistic because I felt hopeful or inspired? Just keep those words on your piece of paper. And now I want you to think again about how you were feeling. When I asked the question before and we were putting comments in the chat and people were saying, oh, good, but tired. We were coming up with words, but let's try and actually put an emotion in those words to really cut to the chase about what we're feeling here. And I want you to think again, and this is how you're feeling right now in the COVID space, in working from home, balancing what's going on in your life, looking to the future. What word might you choose this time that could describe an overarching feeling that you might be having? Choose your word. You might feel that you're a bit fearful of the future. You might just feel bad, just not good. You might be angry. What one is it? Whichever one you chose, take yourself on that path again. Oops. So if it was fearful, choose your word. Do you feel anxious? Do you feel insecure? And then, whoops, it keeps trying to come back to the, there we go. There's your third one. Then choose your final word by going to the outer circle. So if you feel a bit anxious, is it overwhelmed or worried? Does anyone want to share the path they took? If they took fearful or bad and where it went? Just take yourself off microphone.
I'll share. Can you hear me?
Yes, sure can.
Beautiful. So I'm I wrote down the word cranky, Carmel, but then I was like, oh, probably angry is where I'm at today then. And then when I went into it, frustrated was the word that came to mind. And then from that, annoyed. That was probably the pathway that I'm currently on today. Tomorrow, who knows?
And by defining that you got annoyed, I can immediately in a coaching situation ask you why.
Yeah.
And I can cut to the chase about something that might be a barrier to your success in achieving your goals right now, or something that might be actually impacting on your performance, because we cut from, just grumpy, which is a nice generic word for just in a bad mood, to actually the why, by taking it through those extra steps. Has anyone else got another example? Thanks, Claire.
No worries.
I might just pick on some. We've got a volunteer.
Happy to share.
Thanks, Nick.
I'm in a very optimistic space at the moment. So I'm very happy, and that led me into being very optimistic. from being inspired. So I've spent a few weeks in my little home office here under lockdown, doing some work for next year on some projects that I'm really inspired about. But when I was doing that exercise, I realized maybe 3 weeks ago, I wasn't happy and inspired. I was more pissed off and frustrated because I kept getting locked down. So I can appreciate the roller coaster that we're all on.
And I think appreciating and recognizing that, and that it's okay to really get to the chase of why we've got these frustrations, or in those happy moments, what is it that's actually making us happy? And sometimes too, there's an underlying issue. And by getting to the annoyed or rejected, or a word that's actually very emotive and very much more detailed, you can find out what the true thing is that's going on. So it's actually a really helpful little tool if anyone wants to use it. There's various versions of them out there, just called the emotion wheel. I can send that one and share it with everybody, or you can just find your own online, but it is actually quite a helpful little tool. So I just thought I'd share that with you. I'll just go back now and share my screen again. Where are we? And I'm going to take a look at the Goal Tracker tool with you now. And when we developed Goal Tracker at, can everyone see that where I'm back on the screen? Because I've lost your faces.
No, we can't see it yet.
Okay, let me pop out what's going on there. Okay, we're back on.
Yep, it's all
Yeah,
good.
we can see it.
Lovely. Okay. So with the Goal Tracker tool, when the Nonprofit Alliance was doing goal setting with all our members and we were meeting face to face, one of the things we do when everybody walked into the room, we used to have the hub members' names down the side of a whiteboard, and we'd have across the top personal, business, and future. And we'd ask them to give themselves a ranking out of 10 on those three, on their level of confidence that day. So we were after the snapshot of who is walking into the room right now, because it mightn't be the person you met the month before because of what's going on. Same person, but different circumstances, different mood, different level of confidence, depending on those external factors and things at play, or just how they're generally feeling in themselves. So what we did was we took that confidence barometer, and we'd always ask them to put a comment at the end. So they'd put, 5, 7, 8. And then they put, frustrated or feeling fabulous or whatever it might be, like we just did. So what we decided to do was put that tool into our Goal Tracker tool when COVID hit. So we had the opportunity then for every time our members walked into the room, they were able to scan a barcode, like a QR code on the screen, and give us the snapshot. So we didn't miss that really important step. And the other thing we did with Goal Tracker was we captured the greatest challenge that everybody's facing on a particular day. Because if you've got a situation where you're coaching with someone or leading a leadership group, the people that walk into the room, once again, are bringing that emotional baggage we just talked about, but they're also bringing something that might have just occurred. They might have had a major opportunity for a merger or a funding opportunity come to the table. They may have had a major clash with their CEO or board chair. There could be a whole dysfunctional part of the business where the wheels are falling off. So all of a sudden, the whole world is centered on this greatest challenge, be it a positive one or a negative one. So we thought, how do we put that in the tool and capture that as well, which we did. And then we had the goal setting part of it. So the tool itself has those elements. It has a confidence barometer. It has a greatest challenge, which it captures, and it's a little statement. It's a really simple thing. It has the goals. And then it has coaching notes where your coachee and yourself can make notes and compare, keep track of things that you want to follow up on. So what I want you to do first for me is actually scan that barcode on the screen. Now, when you go in, you should see a login box, and it's got your name, and then it's got password. I know some of you already have access to this, but those who don't, I want you to put your name just by first name space second name, surname. So mine would be Carmel space Molloy. Don't worry about caps or anything. You don't need to worry about that. And then your password is going to be 12345. And you should see it come up with two options. You should see whether you're a coach or a member. It's going to give you two options, and I want you to take the one that says member. Don't worry if you've taken coach, you can still see how the platform works, but take the member one, which will take you through to the right spot. If you get stuck on this, because we've got limited time, just follow me on the screen because I'll show this as well. So basically, you should end up in, can people see that? Can people see MPA demo? So you should end up in a platform where you've got your own face, your identifying details, and then there should be three little squares up in the corner. And I want you to click on those to get the menu. And in that menu, I want you to look for the one that says confidence barometer. Once again, if you're having problems, you can just follow me on screen. Under confidence barometer, there's two options. One's the barometer report, which means it just captures the detail over time. But I want you to go to confidence barometer. And you'll see add confidence barometer. And I want you to click on that, the little blue box. Now it's going to ask you to enter today's date. And how are you feeling? I'm going to put frustrated with lockdown over it this week. And then it's got three little boxes where it says personal, business, and future. Personal life, business life, future. And I want you to give yourself a ranking out of 10 for each of those, for how you're feeling and what's your level of confidence right now, and challenge yourself not to put 7s. And the reason I say that is because 7 can be a bit of a fence-sitting score, can't it? Because like 7's safe. It's a bit like, oh, good. So 7, if I ask you to not use 7, you've got to go 6 or 8, and I'm going to get a very different picture of how you're going. So put your scores in, how you're ranking in personal and business and future. And then save it. Then I want you to go back to the dashboard, and I want you to go down and find the one that says greatest challenge for me. And in greatest challenge, I want you to put what your greatest challenge is right now. And once again, when you put that little statement, don't go into too much detail, just a few words to capture it, and then put save. When you've done that and you go back to your own dashboard, which is the top menu item, go back to your own dashboard and you should see that those things that you've entered have come up on your dashboard. Can everyone see my screen? Where I've got Tom Goatley. What's happened is I've just gone into Tom's platform because I'm an administrator, I'm allowed to. Nobody else would have permission. But because I've got the administrator's rights here, I've gone into Tom's platform. And as you can see, where people have started putting their details in, I can actually go in and see that Bronwyn's put 6, 8, 9 for her personal, business and future, and is making everything fit and getting stuff done is Bronwyn's challenge at the moment. Brendan, sorry, I said Bronwyn instead of Brendan. My apologies there. So that's Brendan's challenges at the moment. And if I go back to Tom's, why can't I see the top here? If we go to, who else do we go to? There's Kathy's. Let's have a look at Kathy's. Time's her biggest challenge. And at the moment, personal, work and future is a 9. So I'm just going to stop sharing there for a minute, but it gives you an idea of if you've got multiple coaching clients, you can also have a platform like that where you can keep track of your coaching clients and actually flick on their profiles and go and see what they're up to. What you can do is send the QR code or the link to the site to your coaching clients prior to a session with them, or you can just put the QR code up on the screen when you're chatting with them, and they can give you that kind of information so that you've got a starting point to walk into your room, if you like, into your coaching session about where your person's at. And that's a really, really important part of actually doing your coaching session with them. I think some of the conversation earlier when we were doing Manisha's session, there were a number of concepts that came out around the fact that there's that power imbalance sometimes in a coaching relationship, and you're feeling, the coach can feel responsible for being the one that shares information and shares knowledge. And what this tool allows you to do is to put the power back in the coachee and allow you to be the questioner right from the start of the session, because you're asking them how they feel and you're responding and taking the questions to another level. So it puts you in question mode immediately rather than the one that might be answering questions and having to be the expert at the table, which is not necessarily the coach's role. The coach's role is to actually guide through questioning and have your coachee speak, as we know. So back to the next step then. Can you see that the QR code again, Anna?
Yes.
Yeah, all good. So with the goal tracker, mpa-goaltracker.com is the address for the platform, or you can go in through that QR code, as I mentioned. But if ever you can't remember it, you go to the Nonprofit Alliance website and you'll be able to click through to it from there as well. So we'll send you the details for this later. So what's on the menu? We just had an example of that. We went and checked out the menu. We saw that there's a dashboard with my goals, team member goals, confidence barometer, greatest challenge, coaching notes, and organizational images, just where they can change the picture to a picture of themselves, their organization, their dog, or whatever it might be. So the confidence barometer we just experienced, and we took it through to this level on the menu bar. And here's some of the ways that over a period of time, you're going to actually be able to see what's happening with your coachee. So over a period of sessions with them, or sending that reminder to them, you're going to actually have a barometer which shows how your coachee is responding to that question. So instead of asking it fresh, you're going to actually have a record or be able to talk with them about the fact, well, look at that week you were back on the 4s, you know, that only lasted for a period of time and we're back up into the 8s again, or whatever the case may be. The greatest challenge, the same thing, you're going to have a history of what that is as you are developing your relationship with your coachee. Now, the other part is the goal session. Now, the goal section, I should say. The goals is actually the more complex part of the platform. So we've captured those little bit of mood pieces and current context pieces. But in the goal section, we actually get to create goals, update progress, and then track how we're going against time on the dashboard. So that's in here in my goals. Now, as you can see, there's a dashboard, a team dashboard, and there's my goals and team member goals. The reason that both of those are there is because this can be used by people with their own teams. So they can actually get extra licenses and put their own team on the platform. So at the moment, if you don't have a team, you only use your own dashboard. And then your team dashboard would appear if you have a team of people under you, such as coaches do. With my goals, you don't need to worry about team member goals because there's no team on there at present. So with the goals, we've got these 3 different menu items that you can deal with. So the first one, I'm going to send you into breakout groups in a second. The whole principle behind setting goals is to cut to the chase about what are the big rocks for your coachee. What are the things that they really want to get out of this coaching relationship? What are the outcomes they are seeking? Rather than you defining those for them, what is your coachee saying they want to get out of this relationship? I'd always encourage that there's both goals that are business related or career related and personal. So it's important to get a balance of both because that's who we are. Whether they've got 2 goals, one business, one personal, or whether they've got 5, it doesn't matter. But even if you've got 2 very well articulated, it gives you a great platform for success moving forward in the relationship. So with the theory around big rocks, if you get your head around having a vessel, let's say we had a big glass round vessel, and we had a whole bunch of big rocks and we have a whole bunch of pebbles, right? Let's say the pebbles are your daily schedule. They're all the little emails, the little phone calls, the little interruptions, those things that happen all day long that we have to keep doing and little fires we have to put out, etc. And then the big rocks are those big things, those strategic priorities that you're trying to do or trying to get on top of, whether that might be building better relationships with my boss, whether it might be my personal well-being and fitness, whatever those big goals are that you want to achieve or your coachee wants to achieve. Defining those as your big rocks and all the other day-to-day stuff as the pebbles. So if your coachee starts to set goals with you and you think they're pebbles, what are some of the questions you can be asking to make sure that you bring them back up to the rocks? Because if it's just business as usual things they're putting in their goals, are you really achieving anything through the coaching relationship? So the big rocks and little pebbles scenario, and you'll find that Stephen Covey, there's a video on this available online, and the concept is really quite clever that if you fill up your vessel all day long with all the pebbles, and then you try at the end of the day or 3/4 of the way through the day to get your big rocks in, the little pebbles don't move. They've taken up all the space, right? So you can imagine if you've got pebbles and you're trying to put a big boulder in, it's scraping and it's jarring and it's not going anywhere. The pebbles are taking up all the space. If you do it the other way around and you put your big rocks in first and fill up your vessel with big rocks, and then all the pebbles come in and float around the rocks, what happens is the big rocks have taken the priority space and all the other little stuff is fitting around it. But what we tend to do is we operate exactly the opposite way. We let the pebbles fill and then the rocks don't fit in. So we get up in the morning, we go, I'm going to do that important thing, and we spend the rest of the day doing all the pebbles and the rock still doesn't get a look in. You think about your calendars. What do we all do every day? We put all the meetings in there, but do we put the big strategic thinking piece in your diary? Do you say, I'm taking 2 hours to actually have deep thinking time and I'm turning email off and I'm not getting interrupted? And your productivity, if you do that, the way it can actually excel in that area is amazing, but it's not how we do it. We fill it up with all the meetings.
Hey, so, Carmel, sorry, we're just coming to time. I know you can't see the chat.
Oh, right. Sorry, I can't. I don't know where it's gone.
No worries at all.
Anna.
And we're doing some additional training on this, everybody, so there'll be lots of resource for you.
Okay, so have I got 5 or is this time?
5, fine. Yeah.
5. Okay, so I was going to put you into groups. So I think we should do this. It's worth it anyway. But to go into groups now and just the same scenario where you have about 3 or 4 people in each one. And I want one person in the group to just share a goal. What is a priority goal that you've got yourself that you're currently dealing with? And then what questions are the other people in the group going to ask that person? So when Jason, for instance, says, well, my goal is to actually lose weight and become fitter, right? The group is going to ask Jason, what do you need to achieve? How are you going to do it? How are you going to know you're successful? Ask questions that are going to tease out the detail for Jason to be able to articulate how his goal is going to be achieved. Okay, Anna? Thanks.
Rooms are now open. If you accept, you'll jump in. Thank you, Carmel.
Thanks, Anna.
Oh, Carmel, I'm just a presenter for the next session, so I'm just doing a few things, so
No worries.
I won't go in. If that's okay. Great session though. Thanks.
Great to see you, Melisha.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry, we are running out of time a little bit, but we just want to make sure we get as much time in for you to do your section.
No, that's all good. I'm just doing a few things that I've got to get done.
No worries. I've just made you a co-host as well, Melissa. So when you're ready to go after Carmel, you'll be able to share.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Anna, I'll do a 1 minute wrap at the end when they come back.
Awesome.
And then
Thanks, Carmel. This has been brilliant.
I'll cut it short. They're getting the idea, so I'll cut it short now with
Yeah, and we've got that additional training session we've booked in.
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
So.
And I'd rather get them enthused about it rather than bog down with the detail in this session.
Yeah.
I can't work out why my chat disappeared. That was so annoying because I love responding to it.
Have you got a second screen?
No, I'm a one screen, but normally I up in the more, the 3 dots more, I can go down and reactivate the chat when it's on screen.
It's typical. It's typical. As soon as you want it, it's not there.
It's not there, and I really wanted to respond to everyone's feelings and stuff and couldn't do it. It was very annoying.
They all seem to be giving each other lots of love, so.
Yeah, the sessions have been really good. Okay, we're all back. We're running out of time, everyone, but I hope I'm just going to quickly flash on a couple of screens to show you what the goal tracker can do for you. So you were just talking about goals then, you're understanding sorts of questions to say, how are you going to achieve that goal? And then the goal tracker allows this to happen. So people get to, actually say, oh, I'm going to prioritize my health and well-being or whatever it is they're going to do. And then they allocate percentages to it. So they say, well, I'm going to do 4 things at 25% each, or I'm going to do 2 things on that goal and I'm going to give 175% because the diet's more important and my exercise, I'll just do 25 or whatever it might be. If it's a business one, the same sorts of things. People then actually judge how they're going. So it's a self-assessment tool, but then it calculates, if you've done 100% of that particular item of exercising 5 times a week, if you're doing it every one of those 5 times and you gave it 30%, you're tracking it 100% on that particular one. Down here, they're eating fruit and veg. This person was only doing it half the time, so not ranking themselves as effectively. So you get all the gist of the tool actually allows you to say how you're going to measure your success, which is really important. And celebrating the wins in that relationship with your coachee, once again, is also very, very important. So the goal tracker, when we do the training, I can show you how to go in and set a goal. And if anyone wants to have a play with it, when you go onto your profile, and I said you had a coach profile and you had a member profile, the member one is your personal dashboard. So you can go in there and play with it and try it out prior to the training if you want to, or contact me if you get anything you can't sort of understand or don't know how to do. And then as you get coachees, you'll find that your coach profile will start to look like this. So if this is you, you've got your two profiles, your own and then your coach one, but you can go and look at who the people are in your group. So this one, for instance, is one of our hubs in MPA. Leanne's the chair, and every month she's got everybody's details there whenever she's doing coaching session or has a hub day with them. So it's all about defining goals, measuring them and celebrating success, and sharing them is getting halfway there. So if you can encourage goal setting with your coachees, it gives you that base plate to come back to every time. So it's not a chat session. It's not a session where you have to be the imparter of knowledge. It's a session where you're actually driving towards what your coachee needs to get out of it, and it's giving you a tool to enable you to do that. So I hope that's been helpful, everybody. Make it a habit with your coachees. I'll just stop sharing there. Any questions? Anna's got all my details. I forgot to put a screen there at the end.
That's all right.
But yeah, please reach out if I can be of any help. And I look forward to seeing people who'd like to do the training with me on the date that